Hello everyone, welcome to another module of this MOOC on Indian knowledge system. I will be the instructor for this module. My name is R. Venkataraghavan. If there is one area or field in which Indians have made phenomenal contribution and which continues to be alive with us till this day, it is in the realm of philosophy. So in this module, we will be introducing ourselves a little bit to the various philosophical systems that existed in India and continue to exist in India. But before going to that, let us see why we need something called as philosophy. What is this thing called philosophy and why we need something called as philosophy, right? Supposing you ask somebody a question, let us say, why should one not commit theft, right? This is a general question you ask somebody, why should one not commit theft? Now, one person who is very religious minded, let us say, they will say, see, our holy books, they prohibit us from committing theft. That is why we should not commit theft. On the other hand, a person who is very legal or law minded, not very religious, etc., that person will say, no, the law of this land prohibits us, some constitution or something like that, the penal code or something like that prohibits us from committing theft. To this person you ask, why does the holy book prevent us from committing theft? Then that fellow will think a little and say that because the holy book wants to keep us away from doing papa or sin. On the other hand, same question you ask to this fellow, why does the constitution of our country prevent us from stealing? They will say that because the constitution or the government wants to maintain order in the society. Again you ask the question, why does the holy book wants to keep us away from sin? Then he will think further and say that they want to keep us away from pain or they want to keep us from grief. The same question you ask here, why does the government want to maintain law and order in society? They will say that in order to make sure that the society is not chaotic, right? Again, if you ask the question, why does the holy book want us to keep us away from the grief? Why does the government want us to minimize chaos? The answer will come down to a common feature called they want to maximize happiness. So whether you take this path of religious or very spiritual path, or you take this path of very legal non-religious path, finally you end up with the common feature or the common answer that all of us want to keep away from grief and we want to maximize our happiness. So this is the common quest, let us say, that all human beings and in fact all living creatures share. We want to increase our happiness and we want to decrease our sorrow. Now, in our quest to increase or seek this ultimate happiness, we ask ourselves certain fundamental questions. It's not that we start away with these fundamental questions, but in our quest, as we ask ourselves, how can we maximize our happiness? How can we get ultimate happiness? When we ask these questions, eventually we end up asking certain fundamental questions. For example, who am I? That is one of the first questions. If you want to be happy, you will ask yourself, who am I? So first of all, who is this I that I am referring to that wants to be happy? What is my origin? Where have I come from? So that we can be a little more happy knowing our history. And what is the meaning of life? Many people, they are somewhat disillusioned or they are searching for a purpose in life, because of which they are always searching and not having focus in their life. Other questions that we can ask is, what is the nature of this world? Many people blame the suffering in the world because of the society out there. So they say, what is the nature of society? What is the nature of this world? They ask. And the easiest way to blame, or the easiest entity that you can blame in order for all the suffering in your life, is God. So you ask the question, who is God, or what is God? Is there a God? And if God is there, what is its nature, etc. So these sort of fundamental questions we ask when we seek this answer to ultimate happiness. And the discipline that answers these questions, or the discipline that tries to answer these questions, that discipline is called philosophy. So you can understand philosophy as this discipline which tries to seek critical responses or critically examine these very fundamental questions that we have in our life. Now the word philosophy, of course, is of Greek origin. What we call philosophy in the Greek tradition, in the Indian tradition, we call darshana. So that is how I want to introduce you to the word, this new word called darshana. What questions were asked in the Greek tradition under the label or under the subject called philosophy, the same questions were asked under the subject called darshana in the Indian context. Now this word itself is very interesting, darshana. It comes from the Sanskrit root drish, which means to see, as darshana, Bhagavan ke darshan ho gaye, like that we say in Hindi also. So in that root word over there, Sanskrit root is to see, and some grammatical operations are done on this particular word. Some suffixes are added which mean both an instrument as well as the final result. So the word darshana means both right vision as well as the means of right vision. So when a darshanika, that is a person who does darshana, just like a person who does philosophy is called a philosopher, like that a person who does darshana is called a darshanika. A darshanika tries to find out what are the right means of seeing. They also find out what is the right vision. So both the end and the means are connoted by this word called darshana. There are several other alternate names for the word philosophy in India. As it will be clear to you, any of these abstract terms don't have a one-to-one correspondence in most languages. So philosophy also is one such word. So there are multiple alternatives that you can search for in the Indian context for philosophy. So darshana is the most popular one. Another word which is used in the Indian context which can mean philosophy is anvikshiki. This is used by Kautilya in Arthashastra. Another name for that can be Moksha Shastra, because the ultimate aim is moksha, which is ultimate happiness. So as we started out, we want to seek the answer or the means of ultimate happiness, which in the Indian context is provided by the state called moksha. Because darshana gives the path to moksha, it is also called Moksha Shastra. It is also called Tattva Shastra because it tries to find out the Tattva or the real essence or the ultimate essence of everything. Everything could be the world outside as well as the person inside. So this could be another alternative name for philosophy. And darshana or philosophy had a significant influence, just like Greek philosophy had a significant influence on all their other branches of learning. Darshana also had a significant influence on all other branches of learning like Ayurveda, etc. It had a significant influence. So before going into further details as to what are the various philosophical traditions that existed in India, let us find out how it originated, how it developed, and then we will see a brief typology of or classification of the various philosophical traditions, and then get into the nitty-gritties or details of each of the philosophical traditions.